Shalom, and welcome to Torah Jewce. My name is Joshua, and thank you for watching. This week's Torah portion is Yitro, and Yitro, or Jethro, is Moshe's father-in-law. He is the priest of Midian. He was an advisor to Paro, and actually the Midrash tells us that during the time when Paro decided, and what he was actually advised, to kill the babies, the males, that Bilam was there, Job was there, and Yitro was there, and he fled to Midian. He fled. He didn't say anything. He fled. Bilam was the one who suggested it, and Job didn't speak up, and that's why Job was punished. That's in the Midrash, but that's another teaching. But here in this Torah portion, it's named for the priest of Midian. He was an idolater. He was a priest of foreign gods. How does he manage to get a Torah portion, the honor of a Torah portion, named for him? Well, because when Moshe goes to him and tells him everything, well, he actually even heard before Moshe even told him. Moshe related it to him, but he said, I've heard of all the wonderful things that Hashem has done for you and for this people. And now I know that Hashem is greater than all gods. And sages teach us that here is when he repented of his idolatry, and he became a follower of Hashem. Which is pretty amazing, because this is the Torah portion where the 10 Commandments are given. The 10 expressions, the 10 words that are given to us. And that's where we're going to look at today. That's what we're going to look at, the 10 Commandments. These foundations, the fundamentals of the Torah way. Alright, the Torah way. Here in America, the foundation of our government used to be, and in fact, they're being, these are being taken down all over the country and have been for many years, because people are just abrogating God. They just don't care, and they don't want, and they do it based on this separation of church and state, whatever that means. They take it out of context. So here we have a nation that is stepping away from God, and it's a real shame because of the foundations. We were built, a great nation, built and blessed because we were following this way, the Hebraic way, the way of Torah. These 10 Commandments, the foundation of the belief system. And we might get a little controversial here today, but we'll look and we'll see where Hashem leads us down this one. Okay. So we begin in chapter 20. If you don't know Shemot chapter 20, Exodus chapter 20, that's where the 10 Commandments are given. We need to know this, okay? Now, there are different numberings for the Christian 10 Commandments and the Jewish 10 Commandments, but pretty much they're the same. Here we go. I am Hashem your God, who has taken you out of the land of Egypt. From the house you shall not recognize any other gods in my presence. You shall not make yourself a carved image or anything, or any likeness of that which is in the heavens above, or in the earth below, or in the water beneath the earth. I know a lot of churches who have these carved images. Right here is telling us that we're not supposed to have any carved image or any likeness of that which is in the heavens, or above the earth, or below the earth, or beneath. What does that mean? Maybe angels, maybe, I don't know, men, women. We shouldn't have these carved images. You shall not prostrate yourself to them nor worship them. I mean, I think we all know that there are places that these statues are kissed and touched, and candles are lit for them, and so forth and so on. Right here it's telling us we're not supposed to do this. For I am Hashem your God, a jealous God, who visits sins of fathers upon children to the 3rd and 4th generations for my enemies, but who shows kindness for thousands of generations to those who love me and observe my commandments. Here's something interesting, and a lot of people think this. He visits the sin upon the children of his enemies to the third and fourth generations. Right? But shows kindness for thousands of generations. You shall not take the name of Hashem your God in vain, for Hashem will not absolve anyone who takes his name in vain. Now I know this means, to a lot of people, we don't say OMG, or we don't use God's name as an exclamation point for when something happens. Unfortunately, in our society, that's become part of the culture, and it's a shame. The word God is actually not his name. It's more of a title, but we still should guard that, because we refer to the one and only God, Hashem, in that. Now, here's another aspect of not taking his name in vain. Those of us who believe in Hashem, those of us who live our lives to try and please him, who carry the spark of the divine within us, which all, our neshamas, our souls, are the spark of the divine. What then happens is, what we need to do is to, whenever we go places, we have to remember who we are, and that Hashem is our God. Because when we don't do that, we are taking his name in vain. When we go into a sinful situation, we choose to sin, we're willfully sinning, we're going to do this sin. We're taking Hashem's name with us, and we're taking it in vain. We should remember that. Okay? So it's not just about saying God's name with an expletive, like some, and we should never do that. But it's also in our actions each and every day. Here's one: remember the Sabbath day and sanctify it. 6 days you shall work and accomplish all your work, but the seventh day is the Shabbat to Hashem your God. You shall not do any work, you, your son, your daughter, your slave, your maidservant, your animal, or your convert within your gates. For in 6 days Hashem made heavens and earth, the sea and all that is in them, and he rested on the seventh day. Therefore Hashem blessed the Shabbat day, and he sanctified it. Okay, this is where I'm going to get after you who have changed the Sabbath. The Sabbath is the seventh day. It always is the seventh day. It always has been the seventh day. No one has changed the seventh day except for the Catholic Church. And they readily admit that they changed it to Sunday, which actually, if you read in the New Testament, is actually the first day of the week, which is kind of odd that they go actually against their own scriptures in the New Testament. So those who think the Sabbath, now don't get me wrong, you can worship Hashem, and I've said this in other teachings, you can worship Hashem and should worship Hashem every day of the week. There shouldn't be any issue with that. Worship him on Sunday. Worship him on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday. But don't call him Shabbat, because there's only one. There's only one Shabbat, and that's the seventh. And I know that there's the verses that are in the New Testament about don't let anybody look down upon you on your Sabbath day and on your new moons. And I've discussed this as well. He's not talking to Gentiles. They're talking to Jews, because the Gentiles were looking down upon the Jewish believers because they were keeping Shabbat and they were keeping the Torah away, and the Gentiles didn't want to do that. And that's the problem. The problem is that the Gentiles pulled all of the things away from the true Torah way of doing things, and that's a real shame. So this is what I meant about being controversial. The Shabbat, seventh day, it's not Sunday. Sorry, it just isn't. Never been changed. Those of you who claim that it's been changed on the book of Acts, where it says that they got together and broke bread, that's all they did. They had a meal. It doesn't say that they said they celebrated Shabbat. They celebrated Shabbat on the seventh day. Let's just be very clear about that. And if they did change it in the Torah, show me where. Show me, or in the New Testament, show me where. Show me where Jesus changed the Sabbath. Show me where Paul changed the Sabbath. Show me anywhere, and it's not in there. So here's the commandment, the fourth commandment, to remember the Sabbath day and to keep it holy. Well, I think it's very clear what the Sabbath day is, and it actually, God tells us from the very beginning of the creation. He gives us the example of the Sabbath day. Okay, here's another one: honor your father and mother, so that your days will be lengthened upon the land that Hashem your God gives you. Honor your father and mother. Well, that's probably one of the toughest ones, especially for teenagers. I know that, me being in my younger teen years, I didn't seem to have much problem, but then I became arrogant in my 17, 18, 19 years old, and I wasted a lot of my time dishonoring my parents in the way that I treated them and spoke to them. Now, my parents weren't always right, but they were still my parents, and I should have honored them the way that I honor God. And we parents now need to honor God, and in honoring God, we are teaching our children how to respond and react to us. When we honor God the way that we're supposed to honor God, our children should honor us in the same respect. We should teach them how to do that, so that when they become adults and parents as well, that they can honor God as adults. So that's how we teach them. We teach them to honor us, and we honor God. So when they're older, that they honor God as well. That's the purpose. Okay, that's why we do this. You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. Now, a lot of translation says you shall not kill. The term here is actually murder. Okay, murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not bear false witness against your fellow. You shall not covet your fellow's house. You shall not covet your fellow's wife, his manservant, his maidservant, his ox, his donkey, or anything else that belongs to your fellow. These are the 10 Commandments. Okay? These are the basis of relation. The sages say the first 5 are how man responds to man. The second 5 the first 5 are how man responds to God. The second 5 is how man responds to man. Okay? And they're related, how they set up the 5 on one side and 5 on the other of the tablets. These are the 10 divine statements, or 10 divine words that we should base our belief system and the foundation, and we begin to build upon them. So look at your observance of the 10 Commandments. All of us could stand a little work and a little polishing off of these observance of these commandments. All of them. Coveting, seeing someone's stuff, and coveting, not saying, oh, I wish I had a house like that, but coveting is, I wish I had a house like that and I wish they didn't. How many of us have done that? Somebody gets something really cool, or they get a nice house or a nice new car, and we go, and we're jealous. We want one too, but we don't want them to have it. We want the one to be the attention, instead of being happy, instead of being joyous for them. Hashem blessed them with that. We should look at it from that perspective. Never be in competition with material things. Really? Why? So you have more things that break, more things that tear up. Who cares? More things that you're going to throw away, more things that are going to be a pain to take care of. Materialism is not the answer. Okay? But we all get caught up in that. We all do. It's just, our culture is a materialistic culture. So these are the type of things that happen to us. Here's something very interesting too. We become so arrogant in our lives and our relationship with Hashem. The entire people saw the thunder and flames and the sound of the shofar and the blasting and God's voice. Now remember, they came out of Egypt. They were impure, with 49 levels of impurity upon them. And each day they spent in the desert, wandering, they were shedding these levels of impurity. So when they came to the foot of Mount Sinai, they were holy like angels. In fact, Hashem had granted them immortality. And they, in such a purified, holy state, which none of us today have been in that state to receive that type of wonderful Torah, the pureness, to hear God's voice. They couldn't stand to hear the voice of Hashem. That's why I question people who say, well, God spoke to me. Well, okay. There's one thing to say God spoke to you through the Torah. There's one to say that you actually hear the audible voice of God, which I don't think you do. I don't think anybody does. Right here it says that the children of Israel couldn't even bear to hear it. Okay? And that's my challenge. But I could be wrong. But that's just my take on that. But the point is that let's look at the 10 Commandments. So let's take each one of them and see that are these the things that we do in our own lives? Do we believe there's only one God? Do we place any other gods before Him? Do we create any carved images? Do we do anything such as dishonoring our parents, or profaning the Sabbath, or any of these type of things that Hashem has told us. These are the foundations of a Torah lifestyle and a life that we have been created by our Maker. We've been created through the Torah. We've been created through the blueprints of our life is to do what is in this manual, in this guidebook. Okay, when we're outside the guidebook, we're just wandering and not fulfilling our true purpose. It's kind of like having a computer and a cell phone, but all you know how to do is play solitaire on it. You don't really learn or understand the full functionality of that gadget. You have to know this is a guidebook to our lives. This is the instruction booklet. We must read it. We can't just go out there and try and do everything on our own. We might fulfill some aspects of our purpose, but to know our true purpose, we must build it on the foundation of Torah. We do that, but let's start with the 10 Commandments. Let's start with that. And let's build our lives around the 10 Commandments and then add the other 603 maybe later down the road. Hope you had a good time listening. Thank you so much for watching us. And if you have any comments or questions, please do so in the comment tab right underneath the video. Thank you so much. Shalom, shalom.